In this Planet Zoo video, we are back in Newtropic Zoo, where we're going to be creating a lovely walkthrough exhibit for the fruit bat. That's right, we are back in Newtropic Zoo today for this video, and we're going to be creating a walkthrough exhibit. We're going to put it in this area here. I've designated this area out, but if you've not already seen it, I've created this kind of like little water feature with some custom made seatings. By the way, the guests can actually sit on these seats as well, because running underneath these are benches, the facility benches, the normal benches that you get in game. I'll just delete some pieces so you can see. There you go. If you put them underneath stuff, your guests will still use it, just like if you put custom floors like we've done here, your guests will still walk over them. Let's just zoom out, because if you are new to Newtropic Zoo, we have done the entrance, we have done the first habitat, and we have done the staff facilities. All the speed build videos are in the certain playlist, the Newtropic Zoo playlist, so go and check them out if you're not already. But let's move on to our walkthrough exhibit. I'm placing it here now in our designated area and adding it to the same grid as the other buildings so it lines up as best as I can, and then just adding the flooring, which you know what it can be like. It was a bit of a pain in the arse. The pathing system in Planet Zoo isn't the best, but we got there in the end. We got everything squared off, and then we're going to cover it anyway with these wood pieces all around the edge to cover up that floor. Remember, your guests will still walk on the floor as long as the natural path is running underneath. And then the technique, what I've showed before, I've actually got a tutorial on how to build walkthrough exhibit step-by-step tutorial. So if you've not seen it, go and check it out. But I'm using that same method. I'm using on the grid pieces, and then I can just duplicate everything over when I've got one piece. So just building up this mesh. By the way, those wood pieces, it marks the area where we're going to have the planters. It's kind of like a natural looking barrier from the actual exhibit to guests. So this habitat, you can actually walk through it, obviously, because it's a walkthrough exhibit. But from the outside, our guests can view our bats as well. So just doing this one piece now, again we're using the conservation pieces. You will see me matching the colour scheme a lot throughout this zoo. That's what I really want to do. That rhymed. Sometimes I rhyme stuff and I don't even realise I do it. As we say in Britain, I'm a poet and I didn't know it. Very famous saying. My mum used to say that all the time actually. So we nearly got one piece. You can see we're using mesh. I love a bit of mesh with these walkthrough exhibits, so our guests can actually see in from outside. And it just works well with, or maybe butterflies, it don't work well. I would use glass pieces for if I was doing a walkthrough butterfly exhibit. But if you are doing any other kind of exhibit, like the sloth and the bat like we're doing today, then I would suggest using mesh. It just looks the best, and it looks like what it would look like in a real zoo. I wanted like curvature to the mesh piece as well. I didn't want to go straight up and straight across. I found that everything, apart from the staff facilities, what we built in the last episode, everything else is quite straight. So it's got like flat roofs, flat walls. I wanted to add a bit of curvature like we did with the staff buildings, and have the mesh coming over as a curvature and then joining the straight plaster pieces at the top. With the plaster pieces, again, using the same colour scheme. And this is what I mean now. You can see me just adding everything together, making sure this one piece is together. And once it's together, look how easy it is to duplicate. Just select everything and duplicate it over. Just pulling the mesh down as well so it covers the bottom part, and just adjusting the first part. Don't go adjusting all of it. Remember, if you've got one piece, you've got them all. It's all about duplicating in this game for stuff like this. So recolouring these to black again to look like they're actually metal pieces, and I wanted the thinner pieces, that's why I changed it. The thicker pieces just didn't look right in my opinion, so I changed it down to the thinner black pieces, well, thinner metal pieces. That's the look we're going with. And then again, we're just going to select them all and copy it over. You can see I didn't include the wood piece, so go back and include it into the same group, that wood trim. I missed it out by accident, and I thought I might as well add the mulch as well to the same piece, because that's just going to duplicate over as well. So just line that up, add everything together, and then finally we can build the top, and before we duplicate everything over for real. And again, same with the metal pieces, just closing it off until it reaches the plaster pieces. You can see I've just duplicated it over again and missed mesh pieces. I'm not leaving anything out in this video. You will see I get things wrong. But once it's duplicated over, it will look something like this. How easy is that? Once you've got one piece, you've got them all. And now moving on to the actual building. So this is going to be our entrance building where our guests will come in. And we're going to have an exit building as well where our guests go out. Hopefully they use it in the correct way. We're going to stick an entrance sign on it, not that our guests can read in Planet Zoo, but yeah, we're going to try anyway. But you know, the guests tend to do their own thing anyway. They're going to be able to view their habitat regardless of which way they go in, but hopefully they will enter this way and exit the other way. So just lining up the plaster pieces, and this is what I like doing beforehand with little builds. With small builds like this, I just try to get a feel of how the building will look when complete. So we're not creating custom walls at the moment, we're just lining up the plaster pieces to have a look how the actual building itself will look when it's complete. And then once we've done that, we can just go ahead and delete all the pieces and get our one piece once we know how we want the structure to look. And then once we know how it looks, we can just finish it off with our own custom walls and custom pieces and line everything up just the way it was when we did our little practice here, what you can see me doing now. By the way, are you enjoying this series? Newtropic Zoo, this is the episode 4, where episode 1 entrance, episode 2 was the habitat, episode 3 was the staff facilities. Yeah, so episode 4 we are on now. Are you enjoying it? If you are enjoying it, then hit that like button, and if you're new around here, then hit that subscribe button. In this series we build a modern African zoo based in the grasslands of Africa, so come along for the journey. Right, our custom pieces, here we go. We're going to create some custom walls, and then we can just put them back how we just add them. So we know how we want the design to look, so it's all about creating these custom walls. And this is how they came out looking. We used the plaster pieces to make like a little tile effect. I have got my own custom wall set on my workshop, by the way, if you want to download, especially this one. I've actually got this one on the workshop if you want to download it and use it in your own builds. And then it was just a matter of placing these pieces like we just had them. So we've got the 4x4 walls, which is the largest surface area. We're going to place them first as well with the doorway. With the doorway, I just add the conservation pieces on a slant like we've done in other builds, especially with the habitat build. I did that as well. I love doing it, that technique. And then to the roof, this is how I do roofs. I've shown this many times in my video, but if you're new to my videos, this is how I go about doing roofs. 2 plaster pieces. We've got an off-the-grid plaster piece on top of an on-the-grid plaster piece, and then just place them down. Lower your grid size to 1 meter, then you can have a little overhang on your roof. It overhangs the actual building structure itself, like you can see me doing now, and you have that lovely effect. And then just delete the on-the-grid pieces to get a thinner roof. We finished off with the thinner roof and the outside area, like you saw me put the plaster pieces in at the beginning. We've now completed that. And then for the backdrop, these again on my Steam Workshop page, go and look them up. I just duplicated and copied them over and lined them up as the backdrop for this habitat, so it kind of looks like a bat cave, doesn't it? And then outside we added some foliage to the planters. On the outside of the actual exhibit, we added the information board and planters again, adding some plants in those lovely planters what we created. And this is the custom floor. This is what we're going to go with, the wood pieces and the plaster pieces, same theme. Once you've got one piece, you've got them all. All I have to do is duplicate it over. Because it's on the grid, it's made very easy for me to do so. And then it was just about gap filling. We had to just fill all the gaps on the left hand side and the right hand side which were missing. So I did this with the mesh pieces, probably the most time consuming part of this build, because it was a pain in the ass to line everything up with the mesh, but we do get there in the end. So I'm going to skip forward until that is complete. Once that was complete, I looked at this build and I thought, right, it just doesn't look right to me. I need a window. I needed to separate the wooden pieces a little bit, and this is how you create a window. It's simple. Use off-the-grid plaster pieces. Use a smaller plaster piece to create a smaller window like you can see me doing. Add the obvious glass piece, make sure it's big enough to cover the whole area, and then just add a trim. I used to like to use these metal pieces here, recolor them to a dark color once I've lined it up. And then just add these to the outside of the window to make it look like the skirting board in it of the actual window. And if you want an open window, just use again a glass piece, make sure it fits, and just tilt it 30 degrees outwards, and there you go, you've got an open window. This is how it came out looking in the end. Very happy with it, glad I put the window in. Inside it was time to add some rocks and foliage, so let's do that. Let's add rocks, looking good there, and then add some foliage, and that will complete the build. Now let's take a little look at it. And here we are. Let's zoom in and take a look at our new bat walkthrough exhibit and how wonderfully beautiful it looks. I'm really happy how it came out looking, and if you think it comes out looking good as well, then hit that like button. You can see we've just added a little kind of like detail, so bit of education. You always need a bit of education in any zoo. And we've got stuff like an aircon unit, and we've got pipes going in there, and the window what I've previously shown is got a little trim on now. So little details all add up to something. And mainly our bats are in, and it seems like they're very happy in there. We've got the information boards as well inside. And yeah, created this little path. Let's have a look what this is called. The Indonesian bamboo panel. I've used it before for a path for a walkthrough exhibit. I just think it works really well. Kind of like looks like a natural path, doesn't it? Now inside here our guest will enter, and I wanted it to keep it simple but not have it totally empty. So I've added some fruit so it looks like our guest can kind of like feed the bats. I don't know if that is an actual like in real life possible thing. A little bit of plants, kind of like a little storage area as well for our zoo staff, and then they'll come through here, go through the lovely little walkthrough exhibit, and then they will exit here. I've just got little plants there. I'm going to actually write a little exit sign and an arrow, again realism and details, and they'll just exit through this door and then leave. But that is it, that is complete. I'm so happy I added this grass roof. I wanted it to leave it all plastered, and then I thought if I had grass how will it look, and I did it, and it just looks so much better, so much natural and so much more tropical, and that is the look we are going for in this zoo. So there we go, from up above this is how our zoo is forming out and looking like. We've got the entrance, we've got the habitat, we've got a walkthrough exhibit, and we've got staff facilities. And that concludes the end of this episode, which is episode 4 of Newtropic Zoo, and concludes this video, obviously. My name's Adam, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next Zootropic video.